Something to tell you today in this very moment. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. Yes, I am. Like Alicia Keys sings. Last week I wasn't on fire. Well, I was on fire like Joan of Arc burning as a martyr. But this week I have transformed some of that martyr monster, as I used to call it. And I am on fire with the connection to the fire in the center of my being, to the fire in the magma of the earth, to the fire in the sun and the galactic sun, and all of the energies of transformation that come with how quick fire transforms. We have so many crazy great elements in this creation of ours. And specifically, we have water, which is amazing. And we're mostly water, which is maybe why I love The Little Mermaid so much. And we have air. Our breath. Let's imbibe the gifts of air right now. Because in this very moment, if we want to be in the moment, our breath will help us enjoy it, and so much more sensation and pleasure and messages that happen when we're in our breath. And then there's Earth. There is this huge planet, this third rock from the sun, this mother energy, the Gaia, this incredible vehicle that we live our lives on, unless we're astronauts, and then we live in the space too, but it's also part of the Earth. And then there's ether, which is the energy that flows through, and known in many traditions. It can be Holy Spirit, it can be consciousness, it can be in physics, just like in the quantum physics energy of what happens in time and space. Now, I don't know the exact term for that. I'm sure people do. I live in it. I work in the medium of it. Right now, we're connected through the ether, through the consciousness, also known as the bridge of love, the bridge of unconditional love. How great is that? Loving without conditions. So wonderful. And there's the element of fire. And boy, does fire transform. So this girl is on fire. And let me tell you why. Because in this very moment, this is being recorded in the eternal now, also known in the fleeting now as Thursday, February 3rd, I believe it is. And, or 4th. When was Groundhog Day? I don't know, but it's Thursday. This has been a week where what has been flowing through me has been building for years. There has been just a fire, like boom, 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 of energy, of uplifting wisdom, of creation coming through me, starting with the new moon ignition, this new moon in Aquarius. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. If you've never seen 40-Year-Old Virgin with Steve Carell, well, that's a genius movie. And at the end, they do this montage. I love when movies do montages at the end to the song with all the actors. At the end of There's Something About Mary, they do that too. I mean, it just brings me so much joy. So yeah, I digress. That was the new moon ignition on Monday. And then the Power of February came out on Tuesday. And then yesterday, Power of February, amazing. February is like, it's just the greatest, most eccentric month, I think, so far, because I'm probably going to love March just the same as well. And then the new Wonder Irish Twins episode, but don't worry, there's an Amy, where my brother and I explore more with each other and share stories and of our family and also of our greatness and our humilities, our vulnerabilities. And then today is this in this very moment. And I want to share that yesterday I was driving in the car and I was listening to Wayne Dyer. Evan Carmichael is a YouTube guy who does amazing compilations of spiritual teachings, of motivational speakings, of inspirational teachings, of cutting edge teachings, of really fun people, because I think fun people are on the leading edge of thought. Now, sometimes people don't like leading edge of thought, like poor Galileo was like, what? He was jailed for that. So in the beginning of leading edge thought, you can be burned at the stake, Jesus, I could say, but what a horrible thing that would be, or jailed for the rest of your life, or ostracized by friends and family, or, just like shamed. That force of shame its days are numbered. Shame, I've got my eyes on you. I've got my heart on you, and so does a lot of other people. And right now, keep your eyes and your heart and your infinite soul on shame with a flood of transformative fire compassion, because shame is that force that so humans want to avoid. I mean, there are people that would rather die than public speak, like literally die, which I don't think is bad anyway, but they would make that choice. And obviously, I don't think anyone's ever chosen to die rather than public speak, but that's the intensity of what comes up. But what if I make a mistake? What if people don't like me? And I can tell you, I have been meeting shame in the face. I've had my eye on my own shame, because to be on these forums and to record my voice into the ether net it's brought up a lot of stuff for me. God bless me. Or I love doing a litany. God, Great Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, Baba, science, nature, love, whatever works for you, for this divine goddess, creator energy. And even in this moment, I can think like, I just lost my train of thought. So should I have shame about that? Should I feel a bad feeling in my body? Should I depress my precious immune system? Should I worry about what people are going to think? I mean, all of that is such a waste of imagination, but we get so caught in it because this computer game called Earth, I think creation is the analogy I love, is the greatest computer game ever written, and the infinite greater within us and around us is the computer programmer. And it's so well made. And the game is the game of forgetting that we're infinite and then remembering. And the force that works on that game is the ego. That the antagonist is the ego in this story. And the ego is the affirmation of us being separate, which we need some of that. We need a healthy provisional ego that serves the master being oneness or love. But until such time, it serves our separateness, and it causes a whole bunch of muck for humanity, which I would say it's pretty mucky muck right now. I listen to the news occasionally, what's called the news. I will say this, that one of the tenets of the Galactic Council is no controversy, like controversy against the verse, controverse against the rhythm, against the oneness. So I don't participate in that in my role in the Galactic Council. What I believe the healing that humanity needs is, there's so much controversy. I mean, I could make controversy right now, like, should I be wearing this? Or maybe I shouldn't have it off this shoulder. I should have it off this shoulder. I mean, we really can find anything, including really big things, to feel against. But what really will transform that strife, that suffering, that outrage, is healing the originating cause of against the verse, of the outrage, of the fear, of the suffering, of the confusion. And that is what I am feeling in this moment, is being rushed in from every angle, from those that have passed. So this is where the story begins. I'm driving around listening to Evan Carmichael doing a Wayne Dyer extravaganza, and having Wayne from like the 60s and 70s, when he had a mustache and still had hair, God rest his soul, which I'm sure his soul is resting and joyfully playing too, because he, I believe, is one of my personal guides, and visited me so strong yesterday. And I was in such appreciation of how Wayne Dyer has been, is, and will continue to be a motivating inspirational force for me personally. And he said this thing that I've so incorporated into my being, and probably heard this 20, 30 years ago, is that no one knows enough to be a pessimist. I'm going to say it again. No one knows enough to be a pessimist. And I thought, that's crazy true. Like, there is nothing that my brain at this capacity that it has now, although it is ever expanding in its capacity to receive information from all realms, but I don't have the capacity to be a pessimist. I don't have the capacity to see a greater picture, but I can try, and I can revel in that. And something else that Wayne Dyer said that has been such an incredible foundational force for my joyful transformation, although there was tons of suffering as well, including last week when I was St. Joan of the Cross, or as my mom used to say, like my mom's name was Anne, like St. Anne of the Cross, St. Cindy of the Cross last week. is that what Wayne Dyer said is that most people seek occasions to be offended. And I thought about that, like searching for occasions to be offended, because that isn't shamed in society, people. It is encouraged, and we get a rush of feeling from it, like negative pleasure, and we feel we're belonging. We belong. There is such a commonality that human beings build from the level of occasions to be offended. And I always say this is not about denial. This is not about turning a blind eye, but it's turning a full sight eye to what's actually happening and what can heal the originating cause of it. That's what my life is devoted to. That's what your life is devoted to. If you're listening and receiving this, we are collaborating together. We are part of the oneness. I am not doing something separate than you. We get to enjoy collaborating together. And what humanity does then, we seek these occasions to be offended, and we gather together and we smoke the, whatever it is of the negative force of, I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired. Life is so hard. The world is so terrible. And I believe these things can be said or could have been said throughout all of creation. If the dinosaurs could have a chat, like when that meteor came or whatever the theory is, would be like, yeah, that would be like, geez, this really sucks. Like, look what's coming our way. Yeah. So the brontosaurus to the pterodactyl, this is horrible. So I think there's always ways that we can commune in a community that seeks for occasions to be offended, then finds our power by being outraged and making a difference for sure. But I think that is the slow, hard way to transformation. And what we need on this planet right now is to seek occasions to be delighted. And so that leads me, another one of my favorite people in the world. This popped up on my Facebook feed. Eckhart Tolle. I remember reading The Power of Now, and I'm going to be doing more YouTubes more in depth about my inspirational sources. Reading his story in The Power of Now and thinking about the pain body. And boy, is there a collective pain body in family structures, in communities, in countries, in continents, on the planet, within different races and genders and non-genders and sexual preference. Boy, are there some pain bodies right now? And how to heal the pain body is what you in this moment have the capacity to experience now. So take a deep breath. Because first I'm going to say a quote from the great spiritual sage and master and planetary force of our time, Cynthia Ann Bernadette Goff James, also known as Cindy James. Here is this, and receive this teaching, this truth. This loving offering to you is that you have within you the exact same creative power that made the heavens and the earth. You have within you the exact same creative power that made the heavens and the earth. And somewhere, this is not a quote, this is just me going on, somewhere in your young life, or from beyond, whatever your belief system is with that, totally cool with me, is that your ability to create was channeled into other people's imaginations, was limited and funneled and guided like we're supposed to do here for this game on earth, because it is so well written. Our parents are supposed to provide a source of angst as well as greatness and mediocrity in between. But what we have right now is the ability to cultivate, another quote from the incredible planetary force, Cynthia Ann Bernadette Goff James, also known as Cindy James, also known as the Empress of Infinite Supply and Radiant Love, because why not? I'm not ashamed of it. And that's fabulous, is that your personal happiness matters and it serves the world. Because your personal happiness is not an exclusive thing. It is necessarily inclusive. Our capacity to serve without limits is the key to our happiness. Not serve without natural boundaries, not serve with depletion like the giving tree, which has been rewritten, which I'm so glad, because boy, I couldn't stand that little boy that was such a narcissistic, entitled little whatever, and that give my all until I'm a stump tree. God bless all of them. Michelle Silverstein, I mean, great healing they've brought to the world and me. And This is just my opinion. Take what you like and leave the rest if you really enjoy the giving tree. I do not. But what I enjoy is a giving tree that doesn't have to be depleted. And this girl, this woman, this force, this being on fire right now, what I have gone through in the last few weeks through the valley of the shadow of death at times and coming forth now is me being able to live and share with you, beautiful, wonderful person, the energy of the truth within us and the ability to take a stand on it and to make a meaningful difference in a new way in the world. So I'm going to read this quote from Eckhart Tolle, great crazy man. The universe has been creating continuously for millions of years. The next stage in creating is a very different one from the way in which the universe has been creating for the past few million years. As humanity awakens, so too will our powers to create true change on the planet. Eckhart Tolle teaches that if you are mostly coming from your ego, which is that affirmation of separateness, which is when you get into these routines to make yourself safe and secure and have your, world in a way that is so tightly held, either unconsciously or consciously, you can only create so much, or you create and you wreak havoc as well. But if you're creating most from your ego, your powers of manifestation won't be that great. You may have some success, but whatever you create won't ultimately fulfill you. We can only find true fulfillment when we create from the depths of our being. I mean, I am feeling fulfilled from the depths of my being right now. I had lunch yesterday with a beautiful man, a friend of mine I've known for forever. And the Galactic Council is called the Galactic Council of Women for a really important reason, that the feminine principle, the receptive principle, if you want to take it out of genitalia and classic terms with body, the receptive principle, the nurturing principle, has been overshadowed and suppressed and sublimated for the active principle or the masculine principle. And we need both in creation. We need active and receptive. We need moving and we need nurturing. And they are equal powers. A seed is planted and then the earth holds it and the water nurtures it. A sperm is implanted or brought into a woman's body, and that egg it's taken that initiating force and then grows in a woman's belly. By the way, my next podcast is called The Power of a Woman's Belly, and it's coming out on February 14th, 2022. And the energy is enormous for me personally and for the world. Whew, yes. So this active and receptive energy, there's been too much unnatural force, unnatural masculine, unnatural protection energy. The job of the active force, or which we have in all of our gender identities or no gender identities, is this active and receptive. But the active force is designed to protect, which comes from the Latin to put a cover in front of. And what we've been doing is protecting animalistic territories rather than universal love and truths. And that's what the feminine energy of nurturing can heal the wounded masculine or the wounded active, and heal the wounded feminine with that great mother bear transformational, nurturing, incredible, magical power of life, and bring this to us today in a time when we so need it. And I want to quote something from Brenee Brown. Brenee Brown said, "We desperately don't want to experience shame, but we're not willing to talk about it. Yet the only way to resolve shame is to talk about it." And I think talking about it, we're talking about it right now. We're talking about it with others, and then we get the opportunity to do. I am terrified sometimes about my new path. But I know I came to this planet to be a shame buster, to dissolve the unhealthy separate pride into healthy dignity, to dissolve the shame that is pride's bedfellow. If you have pride, you must have shame. That it is just a seesaw. It's a recipe for disaster and all of the terrible feelings, and all the defense structures come up to avoid shame. But when you dissolve shame, there is humility, and greatness begets humility. As the Avatar Meher Baba said, and there's a quote from him, Your nature is the nature created by you and nurtured by you. Now, nature and nurture and all the great scientific evidence, but if you're listening to this, you are at a level of consciousness to know and revel in and gain extra pure creative life force fuel that is being transformed from any ache and anguish that you personally feel or see in the world into this nature and nurture being created by you now. Being created by you as you link energetic arms with like-spirited people all over this planet as we form a matrix in the many different areas of this world. Jorge Luis Delgado, who is a dear friend of mine, a teacher and a mentor and a Peruvian shaman and world-class planetary sage and healer, is leading incredible ceremonies in Peru right now, having to do with the dawning of the new age and 2222, which is coming up, these master numbers. And I love the number 2, the pair. We are repairing. We are Bluetooth syncing up our external ear, our external eye with the internal eye and the internal ear and the internal heart and all the crazy great stuff that's available to us right now. If we're willing to use our imagination, Neville Goddard, who was an incredible teacher from the past century, said this: your own wonderful human imagination is the actual creative power of God within you. Your own wonderful human imagination is the actual creative power of God within you. I mean, sweet Lord, is that not the hope for every one of us? Don't we want to look at the children of our planet right now and say, we get it. You know that humanity is at a crossroads of the soul. I now know it too. We adults now know it. And we are now willing to imagine with that free flow of youth. And we are not going to shame and we are not going to corral based on artificial notions of how we should be so we can avoid being shamed, or we can live the way everyone always has lived, which means we're going to die because life is change. And I had to learn it the hard way. God bless me and save me. I parented from fear. I lived from fear because I thought I was doing what was right. And I may have been right, but right and wrong are still in duality. To heal the wrongs of the world or the people that think they're right, including you or me, that wreaks havoc on others, is to go to the source that made right and wrong. That unconditional fire of love, that flowing water of nourishment, that air of immediate satisfaction, that earth of grounding support, and that ether of universal consciousness and connection. In this moment, and proclaim your purpose on earth. In this moment, in this very moment, I proclaim my purpose on earth to be a guiding, radiating powerhouse of support for one and all, to be a leading edge speaker, imaginer, catalytic force, encouraging everyone and everything to maximize the power within us and around us at this time in humanity when we need to create from different levels. We need to create from the level of inspiration that Michelangelo had, or divine comedic geniuses had, or that I'm having right now, or that you're having right now. And I want to talk about the Galactic Council of Women, All Genders Welcome. And I want to say what Ryan Reynolds said in Green Lantern, which was the beginning seed of how this has taken form. In 2011, Hal Jordan in Green Lantern, played by the amazing and imaginative actor Ryan Reynolds, where he met his incredible wife, Blake Lively, who is crazy amazing as well. This is what he said: anything I can see in my mind, I can create. I just have to focus. Anything I can see in my mind, I can create. I just have to focus. So I have my Green Lantern ring, which is a green tourmaline, which has the energetic property of dissolving stuck, diseased energies and clearing a new pathway. And I am going to use my powers and my gifts that I have created from when I was a trial lawyer back in the day to then a teacher of transformation and well-being to now an international, whatever I want to call myself, Empress of Infinite Supply and Radiant Love, to support you and to create an institution that helps us have perspective, that helps us dissolve shame, to form a galactic council of women, all genders welcome, comes from the inspiration. It's why we love Hollywood so much. We love to imagine, and we love people that imagine and make lots of squiggles or money from it, because we know that feels good. We know that it's a game. And so I will bring this in this very moment, supernova charge, whoosh, to a conclusion by saying to you, you dear, wonderful, amazing person, I am so crazy grateful to be with you in this moment in time, this moment in the eternal now, in the present moment. I am ready to play with you and collaborate with you more and more and more, so that we can leave a legacy in the present moment, as well as when we've taken our last breath and beyond, of something that our children would want to say, yeah, look at what they did for us. Yeah, there was a lot of crap and poopy caca, because boy, is it cooked up right now. And then, as Einstein said, we decided that the universe was a friendly place. We decided that humanity as essence was benevolent and longed to experience love. And we decided that the purpose of creation was to experience love and relationship, to endow humanity with prosperity, inclusive, abundant prosperity. And that we began this business of healing the wounds caused by the bravado and pride and shame dynamic that has so kept us on a seesaw of separateness, as this game was intended, because it's a great game, to move us into a new age. So there's a lot going on right now. And I am pulsating to you the highest light, luminescent white light with electrified violet and gold and pink, and let it irradiate anything in the most natural, delightful way, any limiting beliefs, any limiting patterns in your body, any dis-ease, any illness, any heaviness of your spirit, any projections of the future that doesn't include you making something better, because the unknown will be better. It has to be, especially when you're at the helm, when your soul is at the helm, when your spirit is at the helm, and you are joining with other like-spirited people. There is strength in numbers, dear wonderful people. And the Galactic Council of Women, all genders welcome, is growing. And I so highly encourage you to take a few of those squiggles, put them where your heart and imagination is, because it is the least expensive, most powerful organization you could ever be part of, and join us and lend your energy to what the world needs now, what you need now. Because I will end from that quote from that incredible, beautiful, humble, vulnerable, tender, and mistake-making, but also invincible Mother Bear, Cindy Lou Who, Cynthia Ann Bernadette Goff. Your personal happiness matters, and it serves the world. And that's the way the world was going to transform, will transform, must transform. The choice we have is whether we're going to suffer more or suffer less along the way. And let's go for suffer less. Love and blessings, dear wonderful people. Mwah.